All right, and we're live. David, how are you?
I'm good. If you hear some noises in the back, my house is under construction right now. Moving a septic tank around. There's a lot of things going on, but I'm just trying to lock in just like any other day.
No worries, no worries. My kids will probably run in as well during the call, so it's all good.
I've got a
Um,
couple kids in there at school right now, but they might be here soon. We'll see.
all right, yeah. Dad found our life. Very
Yeah.
good. Well, thank you for joining me. So I first came across you. Someone dropped me an email in my inbox, and it had some sensationalist headline that said like he made millions from Excel, something like this. This is about Formula Bot, I believe, which is your business, which you've been running for a few years. When and why did you come up with this idea and start Formula Bot?
Sure. Coincidentally, we were just talking about kids. So this was I like to say BC, before chat or before Chat GPT. Just a few months prior, I was on paternity leave with my second child. So the easy math is my second kid is three. So 3 years ago, it was July, just a few years ago. And I was away, obviously, from my full-time job, working as a senior director of data analytics. And I've always wanted to build something. I didn't know what that something was. I didn't know if it was going to be an agency that specializes in automation, analytics, or if it was going to be something of software. I'm definitely not a software by any means. I would even call myself a vibe coder. But AI, this was on the cusp of AI, and I was like, you know what? Like, if there's ever a time to build something, whether it's an agency or software, now's the time. I've got 6 weeks of paternity leave, and so during those 6 weeks, again, this was on the cusp of AI, and I just started playing around and I would just ask the AI questions. At this time, it was really just open AI's playground. And I was just curious to see if it knew Excel. And it was okay at writing Excel formulas. And I thought, okay, well, I'm pretty good at Excel. I've been doing this for quite some time. Maybe with my domain expertise and, their model, I can make something go from good to great. And at this time, there was no application that was focused on data analysis or Excel, and that's where I excel. And so I figured, this is my opportunity to build something. And so, that something was, really something that I would use myself, working at the agency that I was working at, where I became kind of the old guy that people would go to help them write Excel formulas. So I'm like, well, I'm going to build something. If it doesn't come to, being what it is today, at least I'll provide value to the agency that I work for and build something that has utility for them. But fortunately, it did build into something bigger. And obviously, today, the product is a lot different than what it once was before. It used to be just a Excel formula generator, and now it's a more of an all-encompassing data analysis tool.
Nice. So, for anyone who doesn't know what Formula Bot is, how would you describe that to them?
Sure. So it was very much a input box, output box, where someone would type in a set of instructions of what they're trying to accomplish in Excel, and it would write the formula, and then you can simply copy and paste that. That sounds like such a novelty now, but a few years ago, it was pretty earth-shattering for the billions of people
Mm,
that work in Excel every single day. And so today, though, just with the technological advancements that have come, it is more of a all-encompassing data analysis tool where users can, instead of just having it write you formulas, you can actually upload your data set, whether it's an Excel file, Google Sheets. We can tap into different data sources like Google Analytics, SQL databases. We've got a few other data connectors where again, through natural language. You can ask it questions, but again, instead of getting code or formulas, it'll actually write the code, execute the code, and provide you with charts, insights, advanced data models, data science, insights, and more.
Wow. Okay. And this is 4 years it's taken to get to this point. Is that right?
Yeah, so I think it's is it 3 years? 3.5 years?
3.5 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first product you launched, um, so you're non-technical. How did you build that? What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I was non-technical in the sense of software development. I'm technical in the sense of like when it comes to analytics, like understanding of basic SQL and R and a little bit of Python. Um, and so that definitely helped, especially for today's software developer, I would say. It helped in terms of database structure and the organization of, and kind of the data integrations. Um, but it only got me so far. And so I resorted to I don't like saying the word resorted. I used bubble.io, the
Yep.
no code tool, which at that time made the most sense, and even still today, I think for me makes the most sense. Um, and just relying on YouTube University, the X algorithm, or at that time the Twitter algorithm, definitely worked in my favor, because it was showing me all of this. Here's how to use AI. Again, this was a few years ago. Here's how to use AI. And then also at the same time, Bubble, I was getting a lot of content for Bubble of this no code software development tool. So I was like, oh my God, like I'm learning about all of this stuff within the 6 week window. And so I was just going on YouTube, reading a lot of the documents. Bubble also, just like any other tool, fail fast. You just learn as you go. And
Yep.
so during those first few weeks. Really took about a week and a half to create a very basic MVP, where that MVP went viral on Reddit. Then it went viral on TikTok and then Instagram. Part of it went viral because of the novelty of what it was. Because again, this was before ChatGPT, but also everything was free to use. There were no guardrails, there were no API limits, there were no subscriptions, there wasn't even a login. So
Mm.
it really became this website that felt illegal to know. And
Yep.
so I'm sure you've seen those videos before where it's like, hey, you got to see this website that feels illegal to know. And so at that time, I racked up several $1,000s in open AI costs because I didn't have any limits. It was a blessing and a curse. Racked up a lot of costs, but it went viral. And for the next couple months, I locked in, and I was able to. It kind of motivated me and forced me to lock in and build everything that needed to be built to build a more well-rounded application that has subscriptions and limits and all of that stuff. So moving away from a very basic MVP where it went viral to more of a actual product where the first day I launched, I got some sales and I've been growing ever since.
Wow. Okay. So that build process, that you did that all in the 6 weeks.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
crazy. And then
So basic MVP probably took me a couple weeks after that. Just basic small iterations, very small features. Again, I was still learning Bubble. And then at that point, I realized I'm still working my full-time job. After the 6 weeks, I had to go back to my full-time job. And so I started development in June, and then in September 1st, so it took a few months. That was the first day in which I actually had subscriptions set up and all of that. So I would say that was the first real launch of the product. And during that time, I leaned on some contractors that I found on Upwork, that were just more specialized than myself at the time when it came to bubble development. I had to do that because I've got a family, I had a full-time job, and it was just the only way to make it work. So literally before I made $1 online, I racked up several $1,000s in OpenAI costs, hired a contractor developer to help me out, and I was, probably $8 to $10,000 in the hole again before I made even $1, mostly from the OpenAI bill, and so it was worth it though in the end.
No, definitely. So, how long did it take you to break even from that?
Um, Probably month two.
All right. Okay, that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it was pretty quick. Viral marketing is pretty powerful.
Hmm.
It's like a slot machine though. You can produce what you think is the best quality content,
Yeah.
and it doesn't do anything. And then you're like, oh, I have a shower thought, and I'm just gonna post it. It's a 5-second clip, and then what do you know? It goes viral. It's a crapshoot. Obviously, some people have figured it out more than others. I have not. I'm trying to revisit the glory days because it's been a while since I've had that much traffic. But again, part of it was just the product and the novelty at the time where you couldn't go to these other LLMs that are, obviously today are a lot more well known, like Claude and OpenAI or ChatGPT.
Hmm.
Um, so, we'll see.
Yeah. So the viral marketing that you did at the beginning, was this content, video content that you created, or what? How did that look?
Very little. A lot of the ones that went viral were user-generated content that were produced by like these AI influencers. And so
Hmm.
AI influencers really started like at that time where what I found was a lot of these AI influencers were basically, I won't say AI influencers, I'll say at that time tech influencers that have gradually become kind of niched down into the AI space. They would scour the internet, especially Reddit, the subreddit, Internet is Beautiful. They would basically go through that subreddit and just find really cool websites to share. And so that's how it all started. I had a post go viral on that subreddit, and is really just a domino effect from there, where the flow of it is post goes viral on a small subreddit, which the one that I posted on was Excel. Then it was later cross post on the Internet is Beautiful, where it went viral there. And then a really big tech influencer with like, I think maybe 10 million followers, he found it on that subreddit, shared it to his audience on TikTok and Instagram. And then that was kind of the catalyst, because after that, there were a lot of micro influencers with not nearly as many followers, but still in the tech and AI space that would kind of, instead of going to the source of Reddit, what would happen is they're just looking up and seeing what are the tech influencers that they look up to, what are they posting about, and then basically resharing it to their own audience. And so it was Reddit, top influencers, micro influencers, and that wheel ran for about 4 or 5 months or so,
Oh,
where like the user growth and the sales were just like exponential.
yeah.
And then it kind of trickled down after that. Not all the way down,
So
but kind of flat
no,
line.
yeah. So the only thing that you did in terms of going to market was posting on these subreddits, the XL subreddit, and then
Yep.
the internet's beautiful one. Wow. Okay. So then, and the effect of that in terms of users, do you have any idea how many users that whole campaign, if you like, brought in?
Um, I mean, the first few months, it was over 100,000, and then 3 years later, or 3.5
Wow.
years later, we're at 1.2 million.
Crazy.
So the early days were the glory days.
And were these all paid users, or were you running a freemium model?
Early on, early on when it was going viral, everything was free. I didn't even have a login. And then for maybe a couple of months after, had subscriptions, um, and it was still going viral, but it was kind of on the tail end of it.
Right. Okay. Um, so when you so once you're past this point of the initial launch, what strategies did you use then to scale?
Yeah, my background is data analytics, specifically for digital marketing. So a lot of my focus was SEO. I also run paid search, so Google Ads. But as a bootstrap founder, it can be pretty costly, especially when, it might take 8 months to break even on the amount that it costs to acquire a customer, which for VC backed, like that's amazing. But when I'm trying to decide, should I have some home renovations or go on a family vacation or get a few customers in which I break even in 8 months, like those are decisions that I have to make. And so I'll run Google Ads kind of sporadically. But for especially early on, my main focus was kind of planting the seeds for SEO and specifically around free tools. So I know obviously with the AI explosion, there's been huge increase in programmatic SEO, where you're just having the SEO basically create like a database of thousands and thousands of content based around certain targeted keywords. That was definitely not my strategy. I'm pretty bearish on informational content in the AI world that we're in because this the day and age AI Google overviews is basically summarizing everything. So what's the purpose of going to a specific website to learn about something? So where I saw the biggest opportunity was building free tools. And so it's never been easier, whether it was through Bubble or using a no code tool like Lovable, where you can just spin up these free tools. And so if you look at like Google Trends, so trends.google.com, it shows the popularity of a search phrase. And I noticed that the phrase free tool or tools or generator, the search volume was just exploding. And so that's been my strategy is just doing a lot of keyword research in which the topic is somewhat related to something that I offer. And so at the end of the day, it's a data analytics tool, but there's the approach I had was like more like indirect product offerings through free tools. So for example, I ranked number one for people searching for PDF to Excel AI. That's something that people didn't search 3 years ago. But it gets a lot of search volume today. And so you go there, and it'll convert your PDF to an Excel. That functionality has always been there, but it's more powerful today than what it was years ago, thanks to AI. And so I say it's like an indirect product offering because at the end of the day, it's a data analysis tool, not a PDF to Excel converter. But if you're converting PDFs to Excel, you probably use Excel for data analysis. And so there's a few other free tools like that. I've got a bank statement converter, the Excel formula generator is still one of the top traffic sources. So I think in total, there's probably 15 different tools that make up probably 75% of my overall traffic.
So did you build these tools specifically for this, or were these existing features which you sort of broke off to be a standalone tool as well?
It was both.
Right.
What started off as just a basic Excel formula generator kind of spun off into like, okay, I'm going to have a generator for writing SQL queries. I'll have one for writing VBA. And that was in the product. And then I was like, well, I might as well piggyback up off of what was already built and build dedicated landing pages for SEO purposes built on these. And then just through some more research, I started building out additional tools that were just for SEO, not part of the product.
So there's it's also almost like a hub and spokes model where you have these tools, and I take it there's some cost of running those, and the idea is that people sign up and then upgrade at some point.
Yeah, the free tools, the cost is very low. I definitely don't use the premium models that are in the underlying application just
Got you.
because they're good enough. It's also in input output. It's not a long conversation, so you don't necessarily need the historical context, and so it's not a cost problem at all, especially for the amount of customers that it drives to sign up. Um, but yeah, the main product though we use, the top LLMs and all that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, how long did it take you to transition from your agency work to going full time on this?
It was exactly a year to the day. And so it was September 1st, 2022 or 2020. I don't know, 3 years ago, I guess 2022. That was, I mentioned, the first day in which the product actually launched. That was when I had my product hunt launch. And then for exactly a year to the day, I worked both my full-time job as well as my part-time job. By far, the hardest year of my life, just because I was working so much. At this time, I've got two kids, a wife, a pretty high level position within the agency. And I even had told my boss and the founder, probably 8 months in, I was like, "Hey, I'm looking to sell the business. I just need like a few weeks off or a couple weeks off just to like get my thoughts together. I've been pretty stressed out." And they were super cool with it. They understood. And so I took that time off. I prepared all the documentation. I put the website on acquire.com. I was this close to selling, no, maybe this close to selling it, and I just took some more time, and I just told myself, I'm like this is probably the best opportunity that I've had to building something that I can be deeply passionate about. Like my passion has always been, even prior to this, has always been analytics. And now, like, my passion is AI. And so, for me to combine AI and data analytics, like, I literally can't think of anything else I would be building. And, I kind of had that YOLO mentality. And I was like, I went back after the couple week break, and they thought I was just gonna come back to work and sell the business. And now, while I was very close to doing that and making life-changing amount of money, right? I'd be at that time the valuation was a million. Um, and it would have changed my life greatly. And I went back and I told them I had to resign. I didn't give them 2 weeks just because I'm very close with them. That company means a lot to me. I still help them out to a certain degree. I've known them for over 10 years. And so I think I took like an 8 week, took 8 week leave instead of the standard two. And after that, I've been, doing this 100% since then.
Wow. And so, are you still solo, or do you have a team?
Technically solo, but I do have several developers offshore that they help me out greatly, just focused on product.
Cool. Makes sense. Okay, so what about do you think in your journey to getting to this point, were there any routes you went down that you regret or you think were a mistake?
Um, I mean, fail fast, right? Like the only way in which you know something was right or wrong was is if you do it or not. And so I would say early on, just spending my time on the wrong things. So like early on, like I thought kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like I've worked in data analysis and writing Excel formulas for many years. And this was like when the, you know, just thinking about the different models, like this was before GPT-4, where there was a significant leap between 3 and 4. And I think this was even prior to 3 coming, or maybe on the cusp of 3 coming out, where I spent a lot of time like fine-tuning the model and making sure it was the best Excel formula generator tool out there. So a lot of, at this time I had, you know, hundreds of thousands of records of people asking questions and writing formulas. And so I would go through it. I would fix the ones that were wrong and do all this classification, fine tune this model. And then, a few months later, the next model comes out and it's like, well, like that model upgrade is a lot better, has a much higher valuation, more accurate than the fine-tuned model that I just built. And I'm just like, that was such a waste. And so early on, I was just so focused on building the most accurate product, not realizing that the LLMs were going to continuously, exponentially get better and better.
No, I think that's a common concern that people are having at the moment in terms of coming up with new ideas. What do you think about, do you fear the LLMs replacing your functionality entirely? Do you think that's something that's going to happen at some point, or how do you think about that?
Um, Me personally, I I don't worry too much about it. But if I was in a different position, and I think about the agency that I used to work for, like there's definitely some roles where I think AI can be start off as more of a complement, but I can see it turning more so into a substitution within a few years. It's definitely a worry. And for someone, if someone tells you otherwise, like, I think they're being negligent to the fact of the exponential um, improvements that have come up in AI. And if they don't realize that they're not looking in the right direction or they're in denial. I think these next few years are going to be very interesting. We're already seeing it early on, just with all the layoffs that are happening. I think Accenture, which has a whole division focused on data analysis, they just let go of like 11,000 people within the consulting agency. So there's definitely early signs of it. Um, I think as a founder, I'm probably prone to some of it, but also in the next couple of years, like I think I just need to, be on the right side of history of again figuring out where I should focus my efforts. And so yeah, I've made some missteps along the way. And so I think the future is, focus more on distribution than product, which right now in the past few months I've been heads down on product. And so I don't think we're at that divergence yet where you can just build a ship product and as long as you're good at marketing, you can get away with it. But I do think we're getting there where these apps are again the tools like Cursor and Lovable and Replit, all of these tools, they're getting better and better and better. And the time to build a product ready app continues to decline, right? As the models are getting exponentially better, well, you're getting exponentially faster to build a great product, where the key differentiator is going to be the marketing behind it.
Where do you think that distribution will lie? Do you think it's a social media thing, or what's your thoughts on that?
Uh, I think it's whatever gets the attention, which I hate. I hate that it doesn't matter how great your product is, because I take a lot of pride in what I've built over the years, and every day it gets 1% better. Uh, but I think we're in the attention world. And even something as simple as announcing how much you've raised, right? If you're VC backed, like if you have the phrase raised millions dollars backed by in your X post, it's almost guaranteed to go viral. Doesn't matter what your product is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got folks like Cluely, who young young guys, uh, marketers at heart that have built a good product, and they get today's they have a good understanding of how the algorithms work. They build high quality, high production videos that get attention, and it's interesting to see because when they're building a lot of the videos, especially earlier on months ago, I mean, their Google Trends was just off the charts, and it's still pretty high, but it's definitely tapered off since then because they've pumped the brakes on the, I'll just call it attention marketing, and it's hard to do attention marketing. I haven't done it, I haven't figured it out, but I think that is kind of the future, and where that lives, whether it's social ads or even what the folks are doing over at friend.com, the wearable hardware. Like, sure, they've done some digital videos and some social media, but recently they did, they spent probably several $100,000 in a billboard campaign in downtown New York City, where there were, several thousand ads and subways and all of that. And that's something that grabs people's attention and gets people talking about it. So I think it's like, I also hate to say it, but like what grabs people's attention is something that's controversial.
Yeah.
And controversy, especially on Twitter or X, that's what gets the engagement. There's a very strong correlation between the amount of comments amount of comments on a post and how viral a post gets. There's not a very strong correlation between bookmarks, decent correlation between likes, but what really gets something going is the comment section. And what generates a lot of comments is controversy and getting people on both sides of it. It's just the world that we live in today, unfortunately, or I think unfortunately, other people might disagree. But just think about the political landscape that we're in the United States. 10 years ago, 15 years, I'll say 15 years ago, no one really knew the difference between what a Democrat was versus a Republican. But today, everyone has their own definition, and there's no what used to be a gray area of siding with both. It was, now it's you're either black or white, which is, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of trickled into today's social media where you're on one side of the fence, and that creates controversy, that creates a dialogue, not a healthy dialogue, but a dialogue in the comment section, and that's how things go viral. And you can, again, I think of the Cluely guys. There's some people that think they're geniuses. There's some people that think, oh, they're just good marketing. They don't have a good product. That creates controversy and it gets attention. And that's
Yeah.
probably a much
No.
longer answer than what you're what you're originally thinking.
No, 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 it's good. And yeah, I mean the thing with the social media is just like it's just destroying society basically. But as you say, the often the truth is in the nuances between things. So whether someone wants to lean into the hard line position or not for their marketing purposes, I guess, is their ethical decision. But no, appreciate your insights. Where can anyone listening go to connect more with you?
Um, just Bressler tweets at X. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you search for David Bressler Formula Bot, I think I'm the first one. I would hope I'm the first one.
Yeah, you
Uh,
are.
I'm not too active on X. I feel like recently I've been getting kind of discouraged. I know that they've had some algorithm changes, and I feel like every time I post something that's actually thoughtful, it gets like 100 views. And then
Yeah,
if I post absolute garbage, it gets, a couple thousand. And I'm just like, it's becoming such brain rot. And I love and appreciate everything what Elon has done, but I think it's becoming quite the cesspool. And so I'm
yeah.
trying to wean off of Twitter. So if you do want to get in contact me, you can add me there, or I'd most likely respond faster on LinkedIn.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, David. Appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.